Welcome to the stream. We are talking about some FSU commits that Florida State has signed over the past couple of weeks. We're kind of doing a grab bag of all of the recent commits. We're going to watch all their film. We're going to go through all of it because today's really the last day that people are going to be interested in non-virtual football for probably the next month. So, AB, tell me your plans. What's the first thing you're going to do? Because I know you've got early access to College Football 25.
Yeah, I mean, really, we're actually going to play the game tonight. Surprise, everybody. We are going to be playing NCAA 25 here live for you to know. Not really, I wish. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I should have gotten some early access. I'm an OG. I had the original, like, I don't even remember when the first one came out, but I had it. I am a gamer, so I've had every one of them. I had 14, but I obviously moved on from the PlayStation 3 and moved on to the 4 and then the 5. So I'm a PlayStation guy through and through. So I'm excited. I've got it pre-ordered. It's already downloaded. It's ready to roll. It's at 4:00 tomorrow. I wish I could say that I was going to be able to get on at 4:00, but dad life is what it is. So that's not going to happen for me.
Who's the first opponent? Because I assume you're going FSU to start with.
I don't know if I will. I've been back and forth debating whether to do Road to Glory or to do a Dynasty. The Road to Glory looked pretty good. I was kind of intrigued by what Bill Walsh. I had that game. I go back to the old Atari. That's as far back as I go with gaming. So if anybody can top that, if you go back to the old school Pong, let me know. But Kev, you were not alive for Bill Walsh.
I had to describe to a kid the other day. He's like, "Did you know they used to watch movies on CDs?" And I was like, "You mean DVDs?"
DVDs?
And he was like, "Yeah, whatever."
Man, I can remember I'm not going to go old man here. It's not worth it. But so I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to do a Dynasty or Road to Glory. We'll see which I end up doing. But is it possible to listen to this while my phone is off?
Well, we're about to be watching a lot of film here, Bush League. So
I have no freaking clue. I'm not that smart.
All right, so you haven't decided. Yeah, let's go ahead and get started.
We've got four different guys to break down.
Yeah, so let's start with, the big body defensive end, defensive tackle is how he lists himself. Myron Charles. Do you have his 247 profile?
I do.
All right, let's take a look.
You do a little present here, share screen, and big man Myron Charles. This was one that I don't know. I guess there was some back and forth about whether he would end up in this class or not. I know Texas was making a big push. I think Florida was making a pretty big push at the time. This has been, I don't know, 2 weeks ago at this point. He's a big boy, 6'4", 295. They apparently invested very well into ensuring that he was going to be a commit for this class. Odell's got his two big defensive tackles that he's needed to land for a couple of years now. And he went and got them in Kevin Wynn, who we broke down in another video, which you can find on the X's and O's channel. And now Myron Charles, he's listed at 6'4", 295 out of Port Charlotte. Like I said, he beat out Texas, Florida. Those were the two big ones. I know Miami's listed here. I don't know if they were necessarily a major factor at the end, but I mean, you just look at his profile, a 91 and a 94 for the composite, number 134 overall.
Yeah, 247 is a little bit lower on them than it seems the rest of them are. But.
Yeah, it always seems that way to some degree. I've watched this film a few times. I'm excited to watch it with you. I think he's a 3 tech, in my opinion. He's got that length and burst that they like, and teams naturally like from the 3 tech position. So let's pull it up.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see because just as a reminder, Wynn was more of a, he seemed more of like a potential like pass rush 1 tech to me. Like he had explosiveness, but there's questions with his length. So this is Myron Charles. We'll see kind of how he plays. 6'4". It seems like length was going to be a positive, and you can see it right off the bat. He's a pretty big dude.
I think what I like the most out of that first play is that he's able to A lot of times you see these big, tall, lanky guys get chopped pretty easily, but he does a good job of keeping his hands down and defeating that low block.
Yeah, let's take a look at that play again.
Center tries to cut him. Not the best cut technique in the world, but he does a good job of using his hands. A lot of times, if you see these guys practicing, you see the medicine ball get rolled at them, and they kind of push it down with their hands. That's what that drill's working on, is defeating the cut block.
Where you can see his length, you can see immediately on a lot of these clips, he's getting kind of contact far. See here, he's kind of stayed low. He's been able to get kind of that distance from that center. That's put him in a power position. He's in a good spot where his weight is loaded. And I mean, this clip here, this is exactly what you want in a 3-tech. A passing situation, he's going to run his guy back. He's going to use his power. He's going to use his length. And ultimately, he wants to kind of collapse the middle of that pocket and disrupt the passing. And that's what
that interior pass rush is becoming a bigger and bigger deal in football.
Yeah, so it's good to see it
finally kind of getting the credit that it deserves as a X factor when it comes to defensive play.
Yeah. So as I was saying, I do think this. I think his skill set complements Wynn. I think you see the length. I think this is kind of the mold of the modern defensive tackle, right? This is you want a guy with length. You want a guy that has pass rushing upside. Like, you essentially want a defensive end that's 30 pounds heavier, you know?
Yeah. He plays with some power, which is good, but you saw him get skinny and split a double earlier.
And this looks to be really high level football. I mean, these are some solid teams he's going against.
Yeah. Good redirection skills there.
Yeah. Yeah. He moves well. He's on his huddle page. He says he's a like 4'9", 40 guy. So
yeah,
at 300 pounds.
Not about all that, but he's quick off the ball, which is what you want. I mean, his 10 and 20 are going to be more important than his 40, obviously.
Yeah. Yeah, we need to start running the 10s in high school.
There he is, splitting a double again.
Yeah.
You've seen a lot of that. You're seeing him as a run defender, not just a pass rush type. He does a nice job. He gets skinny. He's got good hips, obviously.
Yeah, that length plays. Oh, there. That's nice.
Yeah, that's really nice.
Yeah, he rides that shoulder of the tackle. He keeps his leverage.
You don't see an interior defensive tackle disrupt a sprint out very often, and he does here.
Who's playing? Yeah, they're playing him all over the place. I mean, he's going nose tackle. Their fronts are a little bit.
He's a matchup, I'm sure, for them.
Yeah.
They're going to find a weakness and let him go exploit. I mean, he just destroyed that kid off the ball.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, I mean, this is the kind of dominant tape you're looking for in a kid you're taking for defensive tackle, and I think he's got the frame to kind of take another step.
Yeah, Kessna asked right before we went live about like timelines for these guys. What would you kind of think for a timeline for a 3-tech defensive tackle of this mold coming in?
Yeah, I would say I think it's going to take a minute. Like the closer you get to the football, the more time it takes to develop that position, just by a general rule. Yeah. And so 3-tech's going to take a couple years. Lengthier guys going to take a couple years.
Yeah.
He's probably going to need some body recomposition, because like here, I think is he bottom of the screen? Yeah, like he gets held up by a double team here. Like you're for a guy that's going to be like, this is why he's not playing in college next year, right? Like that's not the goal, because you can't get stood up by high school kids as a college player, right? I'm not saying that this is a red flag now. I'm just saying he's got room to grow, develop.
Yeah.
And that's going to take a couple years.
No, he's going to need to get stronger. He's going to need to get more explosive. Just natural stuff. I mean, they're going to want to put weight on him too. I mean, if he's only 295, I mean, they're going to want him at 315 or so. Bulk him up, make him stronger.
What was Fabo at? Like 320?
Yeah, somewhere in that ballpark. He kind of looks like Daniel Lyons to me a little bit.
Yeah, there's some Lyons there, definitely.
Tall, lengthy, 3-tech types. So, I mean, I think playing some in your sophomore year, becoming a real difference maker. It's like maybe like a redshirt sophomore, junior year is probably a realistic timeline. But with NIL and everything in the transfer portal,
Yeah,
you
I think
got to figure
ultimately
that stuff out, right?
right, he's got to be a Josh Farmer. That's
Yeah.
his goal, right? Someone who's a rotational guy, and they rotate deep. So rotational guy sophomore year, getting more starting reps junior year, and then
Playing a little high there.
yeah, and that's that's Odell's number one thing is.
Yeah.
But they're going for these lengthier guys pretty consistently. Daniel Lyons is a good comp. But with that length, with that penetration ability, there does come some downside of over pursuit. They learn in high school that they can kind of just bully people around, and in college it's not that simple. The kid that transferred to Georgia Tech kind of had that issue where he was
Tafasi.
Yeah, Tafasi. Where he was just a little out of control. He had the length, he had the explosiveness, but you're looking for a little bit more control in that. And hopefully it's
got a good motor.
Yeah, he does. He moves really well.
Yeah, he does. Yeah.
I mean, you got to like this rep. I'm actually surprised it's this late in the film, but I mean, he fights off the center, takes on a down block by the guard, and just he wins the rep.
Oh, does a nice job getting his hands up there. You're seeing a variety of different plays. You're not just seeing him kind of bully up a little kid.
Yeah. I mean, I think this is a good pickup. This is a good take. This is a kid that I think he has a high floor and a high ceiling. I think this is the kind of defensive tackle you're looking to build a program around.
I think the nice part is, like you mentioned earlier, like you're getting a kid that pairs well with the Wynn kid that you've already landed, or young man. It's not a kid,
right?
Obviously, but
where Wynn might get earlier reps, he's someone that might, as a sophomore, be able to give you like a few more reps. This is a kid that you're looking to kind of be an impact player his junior year.
Yeah, I think there's more upside here. I think there's a higher ceiling potential here than with Wynn. Wynn's going to be a plug-in two gap defensive tackle. And I know he's ranked higher, but I mean, I think Charles might have the higher upside because of what he may be able to bring you as a pass rusher.
I kind of agree with that. Wynn's got a lot of explosiveness. You love his first step.
Yeah.
But that also tells you that he's physically a little bit more developed in his frame than this kid might be. And that's not necessarily a bad thing.
They got verifies on these dudes, though. I mean, I don't have them in front of me. Those aren't made accessible to us. So I'd be curious what like his length is and that kind of stuff. That would obviously tell the tale of just how high of a ceiling he is or he's got potentially.
I mean, he visually looks long.
Oh yeah, I agree.
I mean, just right there, you can see his just arms just extend out and just rip a kid into the ground.
Yeah, he's got that. He's got, when it is perfect, like he's got that arch back, bend at the knees, bend at the ankles, just full extension on some of these dudes. It's really impressive.
No, I really like this tape. Okay, so
yeah, I can see why Texas was after him hot and heavy, and Florida.
Yeah.
All right, we want to move on. Keep it rolling here.
Let's go ahead and move on. Keep it rolling. I think the next guy that we want to cover, if we don't get any more questions, is Zay Thomas. So, if you can kind of talk about
Zay Thomas, Mr. I took over Hard Rock Cafe and painted Miami in garnet and gold, which was beautiful. So he's listed as a safety, but I think Zach has said, and it's been said, that he's going to be playing more of a corner role at Florida State. So it's interesting. He's listed at 6'2", 190. I'm anxious to look at his tape. I've looked at it once or twice before. I mean, I think he's a good player, obviously. In the composite, he's number 294 nationally, a 90 overall, a 91 with 24/7 Sports, which is kind of goes against what we've said. That a lot of times the kids on the composite are listed a little bit higher than they are with 24/7 Sports, but this one's a little bit different. So listed at 194 nationally. Again, listed as a safety, but we're going to see him as a corner. I mean, the young man's part of the Seminole tribe, so this is one of those ones. I guess they battled Clemson and won out, but We're here to look at his film, not all that other crap. You're muted, Kev.
Sorry.
You're
He's
good.
listed as a safety. He's plays corner. At FSU, they tend to take players, play them
Yep.
at corner, and
Yep.
and then move them to safety, right?
Then figure it out.
Right. Like the coverage skills you have to use as a corner.
The Fink man's in the house.
All right. Fink's telling us that he loves his technique in the first 4 or 5 clips, the highlights. The FSU staff loves his stance as a starter. So we're going to steal that and pass it off as our own analysis.
Would make a lot of sense if they love his stance, since Pat Surtain probably taught it to him.
Yeah.
He was his coach as a freshman, I believe.
Fair enough. I mean, you can see it right here.
That's feet shoulder width, just slightly outside of, knees bent, good flexion in his ankles, hands up, ready to compete.
He looks very comfortable in this stance. I mean, compare it to, this is like more of a typical high schooler stance where the knees are a little bit less bent, the back's a little bit flatter.
Yep.
He looks like he's ready to kind of explode out of that. So no shade on that kid.
Nope, not at all. And he looks fluid coming out of it, makes the interception.
Yeah, so probably what's happening here is he knows he's got over top help. So it's tempting to say, well, he's lost over the top here. A good ball is, but he's got a safety cap in him, so he's probably trailing on purpose. It's an underthrown ball, so he makes the pick. But that's why you're trailing. Because
Patterson, by the way, what are you talking about, Fink? Is that not the right one?
This says Gregory Zay Thomas.
Yeah, I don't know what Fink's talking about.
Making me anxious over here, Clay.
He'll correct us if we're wrong.
So, I guess we can keep watching this film.
Oh, that was Zaquan
Patterson.
Okay.
You're making me anxious, dude. All right.
I can watch again. All right. It's press formation. He does a good job overplaying this ball. He's obviously reading the quarterback.
You can see the length. I mean, that's what they're looking for in a defensive back. Someone who's got good closing, good length. I mean, just you can see he reads this. He takes one step and he breaks.
He kind of looks like a maybe slightly less athletic AZ.
Yeah,
big,
I mean, he's
physical.
He's a physical dude.
Kind of rangy. Ooh, like how he drives on that from off.
Yeah, his drive is really good. I've noticed. I mean, the first few clips, you can really tell that. You can see there. You can see why safety is something that's not out of the question for him. Someone who can kind of come down and do that for you.
He strikes me as a big nickel early in his career.
I mean, I could see a comparison to Shaheem Brown, and just in his length and kind of ability. I'd have to see him in the box making a tackle, but
yeah, he's going to cover. He naturally covers the ball a lot better than Shaheem does.
But I like his range. I mean, it's one of those things where that kind of coming down off the roof on a slant or a post is something that could be valuable.
That's a nice tackle, but I'm not sure that's one you want on your highlight tape.
Yeah. This is one.
Oh, come on. You got to deliver that ball. That boy. What you doing?
Yeah, he did catch it a little bit. So a little zone drop.
All right. So we talked a little bit with Charles about like what his time frame is. I mean, the DB room's getting stacked, but you're naturally going to see guys leaving as with the transfer portal. I mean, I said he looks a little bit like AZ. I mean, I don't think he necessarily looks like, but I think you could see him following a similar career path as far as playing time. Maybe Not as much as freshman year, just because they've got more bodies in the room than when AZ got there. But maybe like big nickel in year 2, turn it into a starter in year 3 type of deal.
I like it. Okay, this is funny. One, he circled the wrong guy, but two, I like how in man coverage he caps this guy and gets his eyes back immediately.
Yeah,
he's got a good instinct for the ball. But yeah, he's a kid that I think can come in and compete against what's a stacked room. You know, he's got the frame. He looks comfortable in man coverage. He looks very comfortable in press coverage, and I think he's got good instincts.
it looks like a lot of poise and a lot of professionalism there with him too.
Yeah, and that plays in a position like corner where, that's a good rep position. Corner's a position where your mistakes get penalized more than other positions because one mistake is a touchdown.
Clay said he went untargeted in six of their games, so there wasn't a lot of highlights for him to have.
Yeah, I mean, you can see why. I mean, he's basically blanketing this guy.
Yeah,
on what's a very difficult route to defend as a corner.
And they play a legit schedule too. I mean, he's at Heritage, so they play the who's who. I love seeing him impress man.
Yeah, he looks very comfortable.
Yeah.
He doesn't
Florida State likes to play a lot of man coverage, so you get a good idea of what you're not guessing. Can this kid get up in somebody's face and play man?
He does a good job. He has a good feel for when to give a receiver space. And that's something hard to describe. But like if I go back to that play where against the corner route where he didn't get the ball thrown to him, like he understands like out of that cut when like how to break on it. Like he's got a good feel for, all right, this cut is coming. I'm going to give it space and then I'm going to break on it because I have the length to get there.
Yeah, he seems to get the nuance of the position.
Yeah. Yeah, so this is, I think, to go back, I think this is a kid that could fight early for playing time. I think he's been coached well. He's probably, a little bit closer to where his ceiling's going to be earlier in his career than someone else. Not that that's saying he's got a low ceiling, but that, he's pretty well developed technically for a high schooler. So, you're looking for someone that might potentially play a little bit earlier.
Yeah, I think his long speed's going to be what defines whether he's a box safety or a safety or a corner over the long term of his career. But
yeah, and you'd like to see him be a little bit more aggressive.
What the hell was that?
I think we got an ad. You'd like to see him be a little bit more aggressive on these tackles. He's catching a lot when it comes when it breaks outside, and that's something AZ struggled with in his first couple of years. I think that kept him off the field a little bit his freshman year, because teams knew that. So that's something that he's got to learn and grow from. So,
is American Heritage a school that doesn't allow kids? I know St. Thomas Aquinas doesn't. I don't know if Heritage does or not. I'm not the person to ask. Somebody in here probably knows, though. I'm sure somebody in the chat will have an answer for that question. Sorry, Darren.
So, moving on to the next
big boy,
Florida State commit, Peyton Joseph.
Yes, the Beef Eaters. He committed on July 4th, I believe, too, which was great. I bet he probably had a rack of ribs, a couple hot dogs, some baked beans.
I hope so.
I hope so too.
All right, so he's a composite 4-star 93.
Yep.
Rating
92 with 24/7 Sports listed 6'3", 309. I bet he's a couple pounds heavier than that. Was once committed to Florida, decommitted from there. You beat out Memphis for him. I mean, he's a true interior offensive lineman. I think he's a guard, I don't think he's a kid that could play center for you. And I mean, I don't think he could play outside, but I don't know how they feel necessarily. Clay says, watch the sophomore highlights. We're going to watch the junior highlights, Clay. I mean, come on. If it's bad, we're going to say it's bad. If it's good, we're going to say it's good, is what it is. That's what we're here for. Honesty.
Let's see. So his highlights are mostly organized by school he played.
Think says he's going to be a day one fan favorite. He despises the Gators. Well, a big fan.
All right.
Are these like game by game highlights?
Yeah, that's what he's got.
Yeah, well, let's
So
do a game. Let's do a game if we've got one that's a little bit longer, and then we'll get on to my favorite player of the night.
All right. Yeah. So, yeah, he's only got a couple games uploaded from this past year. So let's see.
Come on, Peyton, get some more highlights on there, man.
Yeah, he's got his sophomore highlights up there. Which is why I think that's what Fink suggests. So we'll watch a few.
Nicholas says as long as he blocks the Gators as well as he despises them. Yeah, I agree with that. Talks cheap.
All right.
Holy crap! Can we zoom in? No,
Yeah, we might actually have to watch his sophomore highlights, which is a bummer, dude. Come on.
Yeah, it's the end zone cam, so it's going to be a little bit farther away.
Yeah, he's actually took the time to edit his sophomore stuff.
All right, let's do it. You win, Clay.
All right, he's at tackle. He's a big sophomore.
Yeah, Jesus. He's a big boy. All right,
Yeah, they seem to be moving him between guard and tackle. He finishes his reps.
It's athletic. See how, wide bodied he is. He's going to get in front of you, stay in front of you, good feet in there, getting down inside on the double team. Nice
never
outside zone there.
Yeah. I've never seen an Alex Atkin recruit not drive someone to the ground at least once in this film.
I wonder if he's a legit 6'3", if he's bigger than that, if he's taller than that, because they seem to have started to pursue a little bit like taller guard along with the size.
Yeah, he's playing a fair amount of tackle here.
Yeah, he's a guard.
He moves
well.
He moves well, but he's a downhill mover.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's someone you want pulling, not necessarily someone you want drop stuff.
Yeah, you want his momentum going forward.
Yeah, he's a mover. He's a mover. He's a driver.
Holy crap, these are going fast.
Yep, they're cut pretty tight.
So he's got good feet. That's the biggest thing that jumps out at me.
Not a surprise.
He seems to understand how to get to a spot and win from a spot. Meaning, like if he's trying to get inside of a guy, he seems to do a good job of getting his body between them and the hole, and then is able to kind of move people afterwards. I'm not going to do a whole lot with his pass pro because he's not going to play tackle.
Yeah,
and he definitely takes you backwards. There's no 6'3" to a 6'3 1/4. Okay, it's not bad.
Yeah, I think what you're looking for is the movement skills. You're looking for the drive. You're looking for someone who finishes every block. You're looking for someone that moves downhill. Like there's several clips here where he's finding someone to block 20 yards downfield.
For an interior, what's going to be an interior offensive lineman, he checks a lot of the boxes. He's going to move you backwards. He can win a lot of these cutoffs, so he can win in a phone booth.
Yep.
Oh, there's a nice one. There's a shot.
Yeah.
He does a nice job with these double teams.
Yeah, he overtakes a double team on the inside side of him.
Yep. Climbs there. Seems to understand kind of getting to a spot as opposed to going to a man with some of this next level stuff.
Yeah, he can clear out a double team.
Mm-hmm.
When given that kind of initial help here, he just overtakes and just gets that guy out of there.
Their running backs have got a lot of space to work with.
Yeah, just dominates these double teams. And he moves all around. That tells you that, we talk about how good it looks on a wide receiver or cornerback's film that they play both sides. But I would say it looks good for an offensive lineman to have some, experience playing across the whole line. He's had to learn how to drop step like a tackle. He's had to learn how to. He hasn't pulled here at all, so that's kind of a little bit of a concern.
In that tape, his hands are a little wild. So he's going to he'll need to improve his hand play and placement, which that's natural for kids in high school. So when they get to the next level, they've got to just be more disciplined with where their hands are placed, or also they're going to get beat by higher level defensive linemen. Clay said he's trying to drop weight ahead of his senior year around 300. I think 315 is where he needs to be at. Don't drop weight. Just make it good mass, not bad mass.
Just recomp it. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Give me Dalen. This is This is my guy.
All right, so we got Dalen McCutcheon, last recruit of the night. Let's make the most of it.
Yeah, this was a big get on Saturday, around, I don't know, 1 o'clock or so. He committed.
He only had 20 touchdowns his
I
junior
think
year.
Zach knew, and the jerk wouldn't tell me. So there I was sweating it out. He'll claim that Florida State didn't know. I think Zach knew, and he was just playing games with me. This was a big get. You beat out USC and their supposed big NIL offers, and Texas was trying to put some heat on. You're going to have to hold on to them, obviously, because there's some big schools that are in the hunt here. But for a while, he wasn't a take for Texas, which is stupid in my opinion. But he became one late as Texas has whipped on a few guys. Ohio State was also in the mix, but they cooled a little bit. All right, he cooled on them, one or the other. He's listed at 5'11", 175. I think those numbers are pretty accurate. He's at 95, number 93 overall for the composite. He's listed as a 91 and number 221 overall for 24/7 Sports. I think 24/7 Sports is wrong.
Why is it so? We got to talk to Bud. 247 is consistently lower on these kids.
I love Bud, but I don't want to talk to Bud about this stuff. He's just going to tell me that I'm wrong, and I think Bud's wrong. But Bud doesn't do anything with these rankings, so it is what it is.
Well, I need someone to blame.
I don't know who ranked him. I have no clue how any of that stuff works. Gabe Brooks seems to have done his scouting report here. Brendan did a nice little write up on him, and Brendan always does great scouting reports with these guys. You're going to hear a lot of names thrown around. I see all races in one. Reminds him a lot of Rashad Green. Yeah, there's some Rashad Green there. Clay said he's had 94 catches last year for 1,430 yards and 20 touchdowns in the second largest classification in Texas high school football, which is basically a passing league. Those guys are going to throw the ball quite a bit down there in Texas. So,
yeah, why not? It's warm and it's dry.
Come on, run the damn ball. It doesn't shock me that he's putting up big numbers. I think he looks like Chris Olave. I know Clay has said he looks like Jackson Smith Najigba. I know people throwing around Rashad Green.
Man, these are big names.
These are big names. There's a guy on Knowles 24/7, CC Daddy. I hope I'm saying that right. He kind of comped him to Stephon Diggs a little bit. Let's pull the film up. I'm a bit hyperbolic when I say that I think he's the number one overall wide receiver, because like a Khalif Lockett's a 6'5" kid that can run like a deer. Like, that dude is probably the best wide receiver in the country. But at the time, it was Jamie French, and I think Dalen McCutcheon is better than Jamie French personally. I don't think it's that close.
We're talking this kid up, comparing him to future Hall of Famers,
pro NFL wide receivers, right?
Yeah, I mean, 20 touchdowns is no joke in high school, in any high school football, let alone Texas. All right, he has 2 kickoff returns. He wants to show it off to us first.
His long speed is not as, I think that there's room for it to get better, but it's not elite. It's not, he's not running a 4.3 out there.
Well, you've seen plenty of wide receivers who can run 4.3s who aren't good receivers. So,
he's running by dudes here, and the dog's barking. She's excited too.
It looks like he's playing for Ohio State.
He's super smooth. There's a lot of clips of him on Twitter. Like, he is a master of his craft.
Bouncy.
Yeah,
that's the thing that comes.
I think he's got really strong legs. The guy that finds space here. Brendan wrote about that in his scouting report. He does a nice job of finding space for the ball to get to him.
I mean, he's a different build, but that kind of springiness is Keon-esque in body control and ability to move in a kind of phone booth.
You just see how he glides too. Like, a lot of people. So he
11.54 100, which is
but he ran it once and it was filling in. He runs the 200 more than he runs the 100. 200 is his specialty.
I think. Oh, nice.
Yeah. I mean, come on, death out
Yeah,
of here with that. What are we doing? What are we talking about here?
there's a certain kind of springiness is the best word I can come up with, but like that when you're just looking for athleticism,
Yeah,
and he's got it. That just his change of direction, speed.
yep. He's just
Unfortunately,
fluid. He's
yeah,
fluid. You can just tell he just bounces out there. Like, I mean,
I
springy is a good word for it. He just looks like he's bouncing when he's running, but it never looks like he's running full speed.
I think it's almost misleading to safeties. I mean, there have been several times, like in this play here, where he just like runs by a flat-footed safety. They're just here, and he's going to go doot doot and just be by him.
Apparently, he's a hell of a. Clay said he's a hell of a long jumper.
I mean, yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And that's why the Keon comparison came, because Keon's vertical was elite.
Yeah, but I mean,
but his long speed wasn't there.
Keon's what, 6'3", 6'4"?
Right. Yeah, they're different guys. He's gonna be more of a slot guy. He's gonna be someone who.
I knew you were going to say that, and Brendan said it a bunch. And I don't think he's just a slot guy though. Like
he's not just Pokey Wilson.
No, he's not just Pokey Wilson. But Pokey wasn't the slot guy either. But I think he could play. I think he could play the X and the Z and the slot.
Oh, that was.
But he's not going to live at the X. He's not a dude that you're going to line up out there all the time and say, okay, go win every rep, because that's just not. I mean, he's not built for that. You want those bigger body guys to be able to go out there and block. You want them to be able to win against press man coverage. Like this dude, you're going to want to move around some. You're also going to want to play him in the slot. But I think you can find matchups for him on deep crossers and on crossing routes and that kind of stuff out of the X position. I mean, look at him.
Smith and Jigba. I don't know if I'm saying that right.
Yeah,
that's the best comp to me. That makes a lot of sense.
You've never even seen him play,
dude. I religiously watch Ohio State. Just kidding at it. Yeah. It doesn't help. It doesn't hurt that he's dressed like Ohio State.
Yeah.
And I think he's wearing his number too, 11. Yeah, dude, the athletic profile here is through the roof.
Yeah. I just think he can run a 4-out tree. He's explosive. This is a dude that can get open against anybody in a phone booth. He can run by you. He can start, stop. Like, I don't know, man. I have a hard time finding weaknesses.
What's interesting is nowadays, like, such showy route running has become so popular. Like, you see these guys who do, like, they almost look like they're tap dancing out there. And, like, that's what we say when we're saying, like, he's a good route runner because he's got good foot control. But one thing you like about him is his speed turns are elite. Like, he doesn't need to do all these head fakes and stuff.
Well, there's no slowing down with any of these cuts. Like, they're at full speed all the time.
Right, and that's just a different skill set. And honestly, it's one that's.
He also has layers to his speed. If you watch him, he's got that glide when he's in these routes, and then he can also take it another gear. We'll see if I can find it. It's not going to be on.
Oh, here's the second kick return.
Yeah, his only weakness is he's not 6'3". Yeah, that's true.
Wait, why was this not the first one? Why do you put the other kick return as the first one? And he just wanted to bookend it with kick returns? This is the better kick return. Don't at me. All right, now we're in an ad. Yeah, his only weakness is that he's not 6'3". Yeah.
I think that's the dude that could play really fast, though, as we talked about, kind of timelines. I think that's a kid that can get on the field for you very quickly.
I mean, he's just. I mean, I hate to say it about the kid because he's no longer here, but like what Dre Jacobs could have been is what this kid looks to be now. Like what you were hoping Dre Jacobs could be.
Way better than Dre Jacobs.
Oh, yeah. But like the kind of ability to move in space, his feel for the game.
Yeah.
Those speed cuts, man. Like those corner routes where he's just not even slowing down. Just how does a safety get over the top of that?
Right. Hold on one second.
Look, Clay Talked to his trainer yesterday. He's physically gifted as a route runner because he can maintain speed through breaks. We're working to add more details now. That's exactly what we're saying, right? Like, he can have the fancy stuff, but he can do the thing that the fancy people can't do, so they have to be fancy to make up for it. Like,
there's a lot of dudes that have to slow down. They have to give a little bit to get a little bit with some of these routes, and he just doesn't have to do that.
Yep. And that's something that, like, if that's a tool that just you can't build that. Like, that's something you can just do. You can build kind of the route running footwork, that kind of stuff. But I'm glad they're working on that. It seems like he's a really polished player right now.
Yeah. All right. Well, I mean, yeah, I'll drool over our new haul once they sign it. I don't disagree with that. I mean,
yeah, especially a kid out of Texas.
They got to get pen to paper for some of these guys. There's obviously in the NIL landscape, there's a lot of money flying around, and this young man's no different in that regard. So I think at that point, I mean, that's what four different guys. I think we've covered them all pretty extensively. McCutcheon's my favorite. When Brendan and Dane want to sit back and tell you that they're planting the flag as the fan club president. Remember, you heard it here first. And if I'm wrong, then they can have them and whatever. Forget this, but
yeah, no one's going to keep track.
Be sure to let us know how your guys' dynasties are going and everything.
Yeah, like and subscribe. If you want to hold on to recruits, you want to see FSU sign the #1 class in the country, you can do that tomorrow with College Football 25. It's coming out. But yeah, thanks for joining us. I think that's all we have today.
Yep.
We're going to be probably doing another show on Tuesday, kind of diving into what we're looking for out of FSU's offense in the coming season. Since we're both scheme, we're both film guys, we want to see. We're going to talk more in depth about that. So join us for that. We'll be back with Trey, and make sure to like and subscribe. You want to hear more of our stuff, it's on Knowles 247. So like and subscribe over there. If you want the instant scoop, you want to know this stuff before it even happens, that's the place to be. Zach's the best in the biz when it comes to getting recruiting intel. So nice to see you guys on this Sunday night. Thanks for all 1,800 of you for joining us. Go Knowles.